The story begins now. There are two extraordinary persons here from CDSUO, Dr. Reddy sir and Dr. Ramkishan sir. One is on one important subject, medical devices regulations in India, and second one is an endless speech, Dr. Ramkishan. That is the reason I kept him at last, that he will entertain you like anything on good regulation practices. Now may I request Dr.S.Eswara Reddy garu, Joint Drug Controller of India, CDSUO, New Delhi, to address the people on to deliver his keynote address on medical devices regulations in India. Please, this is the important topic. Friends, this is the important topic. You have to note down each and every sentence what he is expressing, because tomorrow you should not say that we are not aware of anything, because the act is under implementation, and most of our still we don't have any idea that which medical devices falls under which category, whether license is required or not. An important a brief presentation given by Mr. Dr. Eswara Reddy will be useful for you. Kindly focus on this session.
So very good evening to all of you. I thought my session will start with good morning, but I waited for up to good afternoon. But Koteshwar Rao, I thought maybe it may go up to good night. At least thanks, he made it to say only good evening. So thank you very much for inviting me for this first annual Congress cum workshop of Drug Controller Officers Welfare Association. Personally, I am thankful to the President as well as their entire team for organizing such a wonderful conference in Delhi. And also I am happy to see such a huge presence of various drug control officials from I think almost all states are there? 32 states. I think states are 29. Plus union territories. I think, very nice to see it is 32. And also, I'm happy to hear in the morning, I think there are more than 1,255 members in the association. I think, as far as my personal knowledge, it may be a world's first organization having the 1,255 members of the Drug Regulators Association, whatever exists across the globe. So this may be the only one organization having such a huge number of members, and that life members. I think I'm very thankful to as a life members. So credit goes to their entire team. Special credit goes to Koteshwar Rao for his continuous motivation as well as the way he is giving support to the association. When he was sitting here, though today first time I am seeing him in the suit, but I never seen him in the suit, I will see him as well as a karma yogi. I think he should put up next time, sadhu dress. So calm, so quiet, so patient. See, though many people will irritate him a lot, but still he maintains so calmness. That is also one great art the God has given to him. So, and also I'm saying, I think he's just born in 8 months back, October. So in just 8 months, generally the baby should crawl, but this 8 months baby is running. This really nice to see the way this association is functioning. I am also part of their association group. This is really a great platform they have created in the WhatsApp group. The type of healthy, especially the highly technical regulatory issues are discussed in the platform. The way you are commenting, I will read almost all comments made by everyone. It is very interesting. And it is very knowledgeable also. The way you share a lot of court cases in the platform and your experiences. And earlier, there was some communication gap of availability of the regulatory contacts. I think through this platform, if somebody will ask who is he want contact number of the Agra drug inspector, within seconds that details are available. So this is actually what associations is one of the major responsibility to bring all together on the common platform. So once again, I am very thankful to all of you, your presidency and as well as all your entire team, and also my special thanks to all the participants here. I know for one day you are coming out from your office is so hectic, so it is, concern, but you made it. And I am sure, as just Mani said rightly, those who are present here, definitely you carry some knowledge. Not only knowledge, by this time you have a very such a cordial interaction with each other. I am happy to see my old age days when I was working in Bombay, those who are, with Maharashtra, Gujarat and all other states where I worked, now today they are joint commissioners and higher levels. It is very happy to see, and and this will give such a wonderful feeling. So I hope this type of conferences should continue. I am sure with the support of all the members, Koteshwara will continue this type of gathering. And once again, thank you very much. So today's topic given to me is on medical device regulations in India. I am mostly stressed about the background of behind the drug regulation. Otherwise, drug regulation are there in front of you. You must have read, you know what are the regulations. You are a very good reader of the law. Okay, you read this medical device regulation, you can understand what it is written there. When lawyers are able to interpret while making the court cases, so why can't we as a experience by reading that? But what is the genesis of these regulations, how it was developed, and what is the intent, what is the purpose of these regulations? So this is the more important for the regulators before actually the going for the implementation. So in my presentation, I am just, it talks about the status of medical devices, because you should know what is the size of the industry. Generally, medical devices at present, even still today also, for us is a second baby, if you ask me frankly. Our entire major focus is on drugs. Medical devices still we are not considering that important, that equal importance with that of drug. That is the reason I will share some of the experiences. If we could have not followed up the right time in the 2009, what happened? These medical devices could have been regulated by Department of Science and Technology. It is not with us. Even till today, many agencies or many people, they want to take out from the Drugs and Cosmetic Act these medical devices and maybe want to regulate by some other. But I will tell you where we have really taken care such that the medical devices will be remain under the Health Ministry, will be remain under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. I think this slide, which first everybody should understand what is the genesis of the making the Drugs and Cosmetic Act initially. If you see under the Constitution of India, Article 246, 7th schedule, which specifies clearly the role and responsibilities of the federal government, that is union government, as well as the state government, and some joint responsibility. There are certain categories of the services or the products are regulated by the only union government that comes under the union list, what is generally called as a list 1 in the Constitution. So like defense, foreign affairs, railways, which are directly regulated, monitored, executed by the union government. Any law relating to this is made by only the parliament. Whereas there are certain services like police, agriculture, public health, these are the purely the state subject. This is called as a state list. Any legislation with respect to these areas are made only by your state assembly. State governments are competent to do. But whereas certain categories of products like drugs, food, education, forest, these are under the concurrent list, where both central government and state government all responsible. But if you see in this, who is responsible for making the legislation? As per the Constitution, these things, products which are under concurrent list, Parliament have a power to make a regulation, as well as legislature state, that is state assembly also can make a law for the regulation of drugs. You may be aware about this. I think you must know some of the states like West Bengal and some states, they have made amendments to the act as per, for example, as per the cognizance of the offense, the drug inspector is the qualifying person to go for a prosecution. But I think in West Bengal they made amendments to the act, even their police officer is competent for the making the prosecution under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. So as per this Constitution of India, even your state government has a power to make amendments not disturbing the basic structure. Means when the law says to manufacture a drug, you need a license, but your state government may not be able to say that the drugs which are manufactured in my state, no license is required. That means that is a basic, going against the principles of the law. So with this background, because of the drugs under the serial number 19, this is the most important. If you see in the Constitution itself, the word drug is there. It is under the serial number 19 of the Union list. Because of the drug is covered under the Constitution, it is the government responsibility to make a law. That is the reason we have a law called the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. And subsequently, we have made various rules. I think now we have 4 different types of rules. You are aware about all this. And based upon these rules, wherever required, certain guidelines as well as some orders have been issued to effectively implement. This is the one I want to show all of you, very important point, why this especially this I want to say with respect to the medical devices. The word medical device is not there in the Constitution. I said we have 3 lists, union list, state list and concurrent list. The medical devices is not there in any list. So the products which are not there any list, then that powers goes by default to the only union list. I hope it is clear. The product services which are not specified in any of the 3 lists, by default it goes to the union list. But at present the drugs are on the union list and these are regulated by the health ministries. But in the act they say that wherever any rules to be made or wherever they will use the word central government. But central government means who is the central government? Central government, defense ministry is also central government, health ministry is also central government, and foreign ministry, all ministries, all ministers are the central government. When you say in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, the central government should issue the direction, or central government should make the rule means who? Whether defense ministry can make a rules for the health ministry act? If you say no, where it is stated? This is stated under the rules called allocation of business rules. This is the most important. So these rules are made under the clause 3 of Article 77 of the Constitution. If you see what is Article 3, clause 3 of Article 77 says, I have made that statement also here, that reads like this: the President shall make a rules. Generally, whenever rules are made, these rules are made by that concerned ministry and are issued in the name of the General Joint Secretary. But whereas, whenever this allocation of business rules are made, these rules are issued by the President of India itself. So, as per this rule, the President shall make a rules for the more convenient transaction of the business of the Government of India and for the allocation among ministries of the said business. As per the rule, which ministry, what mandate they have, they will prescribe under these rules. So there the responsibilities have been clearly specified under the business rules. For example, the business rules prescribed for the health ministry, there are so many business rules for the health ministry. They are responsible for the health, maintaining so many institutions. You go to their business rules, the current business rules existing is the 2022 December 1, the latest rules. Health ministry have so many responsibilities. In addition to this, the other major business rules specified for the health ministry is This is the health ministry's responsibility for making the drug standards. Matters relating to the advertisements to drugs and relating to the drugs and medicines, prevention of adulteration of foodstuff and drugs, and this is the most important, I want to clearly specify, regulatory aspects, namely quality, safety, labeling, performance of medical devices. If you see that here it is included in the 2015. I will come back to you after next slide. Why 2015 and before that, why it is very important. The medical devices earlier not under the any business rule of the these rules. That means nobody is responsible for that. When this product is not specified in the business rule means no ministry has a power to regulate that. I hope it is clear. And regarding Department of Pharmaceuticals, they have multiple business rules, their responsibilities, like NPPA, they're responsible, NIPER Education is their responsible, like they have KAPL, HAL, many other responsible. In addition to this, with respect to the medical devices, they are responsible for industry issues relating to promotion, production, and manufacture. Like that, every ministry, they have, the central government has clearly specified what is their role and responsibility. That's why no ministry should interfere into the business of the other ministry. But however, this particular, I know how many of you heard about this Medical Device Regulatory Authority Bill? Can you raise your hands? Anybody has heard about this bill? So this is actually the purpose. What I want to today not to say medical device regulations. Okay, class AB is regulated by state government, C and D regulated by the central government. What are the standards? That is, you can read the thing. But what is the genesis behind making the regulation? As a regulatory authority, as a pharmacist, today what we are talking, we protect our rights and everything. As a regulatory authority, we should always hold our powers. We should not give it to any other agency people where there are so many people are waiting to take out the powers. If you see in the 2003, Department of Science and Technology has constituted an expert committee in 2003. Reason is, that time only 4 medical devices are regulated. That is disposable syringes, needles, IV, HIV and HV kits and perfusion sets. Rest of medical devices, nobody is regulating. But who will assure the quality? There is a reason for constituting the committee. When the regulatory department is there, when the health ministry is there, and as per the definition of the device notification, only notified devices can be regulated. And the rest of the devices, who is responsible to ensure the quality? So that is the reason Science and Technology has constituted the committee to make one bill which can be taken into the parliament to regulate all the medical devices by Department of Science and Technology. And in this committee, even I'll say even representative of CDSU was also there in that committee. But that committee has made a recommendation that the medical devices should be regulated by Science and Technology Ministry. And that bill was made, and that bill was consented by all the ministries. And that bill in 2009, it has gone to the cabinet for final approval. If that could have been done, today medical devices are not under the regulatory control under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. However, fortunately, our health minister, when came that all the bills to be discussed in the cabinet, it comes to the respective ministries. When that bill came to the respective ministry, that time that health minister referred the bill to the DCGI. What are your comments on that? That comment of CDSU is already there. He is a member of that committee. But when we have seen this thing, this is actually the slide which we have made. This is actually copy of the slide which we have made presentation to then Health Secretary in 2009. Whatever 2-3 slides I am showing, these are the actual copy of that presentations what we have made. Then we have defended in that meeting, this should be regulated by under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act and by the regulator only. But there was a huge, comments about our discussion. The first comment is that what you know about the CT scan, what you know about the MRI. In fact, they asked me so many questions in that meeting. You don't know anything about the medical devices. At least now we know something about the medical devices. If you see in the 2009, when 2006 to the 9 period, so there was they clearly stated that neither you have a qualification or experience or you have expertise in the regulation of medical devices. So in that meeting also, because the representatives from other ministries were also there, everybody is backing that it should be regulated by under the separate bill by the separate ministry. But I'll show you, this is the slide, I have copy and pasted same thing. What I have made a presentation before that Secretary Health that time, on this slide the entire decision has been changed. They told us, you justify how you want to be regulated by the Health Ministry and especially under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, especially by the Indian drug regulators. So I made a very clear, these 8 differences I have made with respect to that time proposed bill of MDRA and the proposed bill of, existing Drugs and Cosmetic Act. We said very clearly, it is your bill is at a draft stage. We don't know how comments will come from the public by that time. Whereas our Drug and Cosmetic Act is a very transparent act which is already existing since 1940. We made a very clear this thing, you had to create a separate authority to regulate the medical devices. But whereas we say that we already regulatory bodies are existing in each and every state. In fact, I remember one point I made, if any visit or any investigation or if any information is required at any part of India, I told them in that meeting that within 30 minutes to 1 hour, we will give information to you. Because we have a presence in each and every district. But whereas if your new authority, if you create, which is sitting in the Delhi, if you want some information from Manipur or information from the Lakshadweep, how it will come? Who will go and if you want any information, data or investigation to be done, it is going to be too much delay in this process. But whereas we have already necessary infrastructure, necessary body at each and every state. And third, we say that is going to be autonomous body. Generally, autonomous bodies in the regulatory system, they have own independency. We said very clearly, the existing drug control department is directly under your ministry, health ministry. You have a full control on regulatory department rather than controlling on the autonomous authority. And fourth is very important point. They have to create everything a new infrastructure. If they have a new bill, new ministry will come. But we said very clearly, we have completely, entire infrastructure is existing. And actually lot of discussion was happened about the human resources. They said that you don't have experience. I said, yes, we don't have experience, but you train us. Existing officers you train, we are able to make a best in the enforcement. Whereas if you have to recruit the new people in your authority. That new people also has to undergo the training. You may not able to get the office, the medical device people, those who have already experience in the regulation of medical devices, because of regulation of medical devices not existing at all. And another, this is 6th point also helped us a lot in that they don't have any experience in the regulation, whereas we have a 50 years of experience in the regulation. Maybe product may be a different. Regulation or enforcement is actually majorly it is art. We regulate blood bank, we regulate vaccines, we regulate the medical meter dose inhalers. So when various categories of products we are able to regulate, why can't medical devices? So after, when we have 50 years of experience in the regulation, and finally, in their bill, they ask for the 5 years of transition. Means once that bill is passed in the parliament, that entire act will get effective after 5 years. Then we said that already we are regulating. We will notify more devices and give me training. Within 1 or 2 years, we can regulate all devices. So this is exactly the same slide what we have made to the then secretary, and they convinced with our presentation. So that is the reason today this entire medical devices are under the health ministry or under the under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. Today we are able to this thing. And this is the reason, what I said earlier is that in the business rule, it is clearly included, especially they included these regulatory aspects, namely quality, safety, labeling, performance of medical devices is the responsibility of the health ministry. At least now, this is the mandate of the health ministry. So, the another very interesting part, you may be thinking when medical device definition included, if you see medical device definition included in the 1982 by 6th amendment, these are the, because of lack of time, I don't want to go to all these amendments. This is in the 6th amendment to the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, the definition of medical device was incorporated. But the definition was not a isolation definition, you may be knowing. The definition is a part of the drug definition. That time also our title was Drugs and Cosmetic Act. The moment if you isolate the definition of a medical device, it will become a different product. That medical device is not listed in the anywhere in the constitutional any list. So that is the reason you may be thinking why it was included under the drug definition. When the medical devices was included, made the definition, they should have made it as like a cosmetics. We have a separate definition, not under the definition of a drug. Like Ayush product, we have a separate definition. But whereas medical devices, we don't have a separate definition under the Act. It is defined under the definition of a drug only. So that is the reason today we regulate medical devices as a drug only. And with this back, that means these 4 slides, what I want to convey to is that as a drug regulators, it is not our responsibility simply to grant license, inspect, investigation, prosecution. We should also protect our profession. For that purpose, we have to work hard. We should know what is actually going on. Or otherwise, it will be very difficult to be a part of the system. I am not talking about today. Our generation may be, okay, till whatever we have service of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it is fine. What about after 50 years? What about after 70 years, after 100 years? So we have to see that our profession should be think about long time. It should be under the one umbrella, under the one ministry, under the one act. Okay, so just I want for your information, I'll just give some idea about the medical device industry. Why I am talking about the medical device industries, I said still we consider medical devices is the secondary responsibility. But if you see the importance of medical devices in the public healthcare system and the size of the industry, this is nowhere inferior or nowhere no less than the drugs. But you may be knowing, because of the malfunctioning of devices, you may be knowing some baby incubators, you must have seen in the newspapers also. Somewhere baby got born because of the malfunctioning of the baby incubator. You must have seen somewhere MRI scan malfunctioning, that patient have died. At least some are reported. There may be so many incidences are not come into our limelight, where the quality performance of the device is the most important. But if you see, there is a huge growth for the medical device industry at present. Compared to any sector, medical device industry is growing at the rate of 15 to 20%, whereas drug industry is growing at the rate of 8 to 10% only. We are very good in the manufacturing of disposables and implants, especially cardiac stents, drug-eluting stents. But still, all medical instruments and equipments, we are importing from other countries, more than even 80%. Medical device industry is mainly innovative industry. That means it is not like a pharma industry. If you start producing, for example, in pharma industry, paracetamol 500 milligram tablet, you go on manufacturing years together, paracetamol 500 milligram, there is no need to make any efforts. But whereas, if you have one particular medical devices are like a mobile phone. What you have today model or futures, it won't work out after 5 years. Because of consumer want, new things, new requirements. The medical devices are like a mobile. And also it requires a continuous training to the healthcare. See, to administer the tablet or anything, you don't require any specialized person, you can administer voluntarily. But as a patient, you may not able to take test yourself by the MRI. But for the MRI instrument or any other equipment, medical equipment, you need a trained people. So whenever you develop any instrument, you have to train the manpower in the hospitals. So this is the one of the major difference between the drug and also the device. And last point I said, we still depends more than 85% of the medical equipment from the other countries. If you see the market size of this medical device industry is almost 1 lakh crore. Of course, drug industry is a 4 lakh crore industry. 2 lakhs exports and around 2 lakh crore is the domestic market. But the way this is the fastest grown industry in India at present, medical device industry. We have around 3,100 medical device manufacturers in India at present, and 755 IVD manufacturers. And at present we are regulating only notified medical devices. But in future, from the October 23 onwards, we are going to be regulating all categories of devices. And there is a 100% automatic permission for the foreign direct investments. Means if any foreign company want to invest in India, there is no need for RBI approval. Otherwise, for investing in India, you need to have a RBI approval or that concerned ministry approval, lot of approvals. But whereas for any investment, if anybody want to make investment in the medical device industry, that foreign directed investment is an automatic route. And as I said, it is mostly imported. And to encourage the indigenous production of manufacturing, the Government of India, Department of Pharmaceuticals come up with the production linked incentive scheme. I also have one slide on that. They are also in the process of setup of medical device park. I think you must have come across recently, government has issued medical device policy. This government is very, very serious on medical devices, because it is a very, very essential components in the medical healthcare system. And these are the import details about the medical devices. If you see last financial year, 61,000 crore worth of medical devices we are importing from other countries. That means there is a huge potential for the indigenous manufacturing. Why I am making this, though these are, you may be thinking what is the role of the regulators in these figures. Yes, the regulators have played important role. When 60,000 crores worth of medical devices are imported into India, why can't we should encourage industry to set up this in India? Why can't you give regulatory handhold, regulatory support to the industry to make such type of devices in India itself? We also have equal importance. So that is the reason my request to all of you is that give more stress to medical devices also. Whenever you come across any application for license or any export NOC or any permissions, please give equal importance. It has a huge potential for India. Economic perspective, social perspective, as well as the public healthcare perspective. And we also export. We do exports. If you see last financial year, we have exported more than 27,000 crore worth of medical devices. I will show you what are the major types of devices we are doing export. So this is the gap between import and export. But we also should play important, not only the government, as a regulatory authority also, we should play important role to minimize this gap. And what are the countries from where we are importing maximum? If you see the top 5 countries, what we are importing medical devices from other countries, the maximum it is coming from USA. Because of USA manufactures all high-end equipments, high-end medical devices. Because of for them the strength is the technology. So I think earlier speaker also said, the wisdom how they will convert into their performance, their strength is. So similarly, we also should be in line with them. And what are the different types of products we are exporting? That means in which area we have a sufficient self-sufficiency we have. Like consumables, we have self-sufficiency. Disposables, we have self-sufficiency. But certain electronic small items of medical devices we are able to make, implants we are able to make, some IVD reagents and surgical instruments. So these good thing is that a lot of our medical devices also going to USA. If you see the maximum export we are doing to export to the USA. We import from USA and maximum export also goes to USA. But in USA from 20,000 crore we are importing, but we are exporting only 5,000 crore. And if you see in imports, the maximum type of device we are importing is electronics and equipments. Almost 38,000 crore out of 61,000 crore. So that is the reason the time has come we have to support the industry to make all these categories of devices also in India. This is very interesting slide. This is a foreign direct investment where the foreigners want to invest in India. If you see, the amount of money is inflowing for medical devices is reasonably very good money. But if you see in 2020-21 is less money mainly because of the COVID and other reasons. Otherwise, if you see 16-17, almost 3,000 crore invested in that particular year in medical devices. In the last 22-23, almost 3,000 crores. So with this background, but with these two parameters, whatever I touched, one is that we have to protect our act, profession and the systems. Second is how big this industry, okay, what is our role for developing of the medical device industry. To promote indigenous manufacturing of industry, Government of India decided to come up with a new regulation. That is the reason what we have the Medical Device Rules 2017. I will also tell you later on what is the background for that. Even under the, you may be knowing medical devices means devices which are covered under the section 3B4 only are regulated. But if you see under the section, this is a very important slide as a regulatory perspective, especially for interpretation point of view. In fact, if you see section 3B1 also covers medical devices. Means, again for your understanding, I will tell you, IVD, in vitro diagnostic devices, also medical devices. So first you keep that in your mind. So all IVDs are already covered under the section 3B1. So that is the reason if you see all IVD kits already under the licensing system. This we are regulating since many years. But whereas section 3B2 says the certain such substances intended to affect the structure where the mechanical contraceptives have been notified. So mechanical contraceptives are not notified under the section 3B4. Mechanical contraceptives are notified, even tubal rings are notified under the section 3B2. So that means same medical devices, what I want to convey from this slide is that we are regulating under section 3B1, 3B2, 3B4 also. And this is very interesting, and also why other ministries or other people are interested to regulate, because of we have not taken seriously. This slide clearly reflects the why we are not serious. If you see the definition of medical devices is effective from the 1st February 1993, where Act given a power to you to notify medical devices. But the first notification made in 1989, that means after 6 years of having the power to notify the medical devices, we took 6 years. And that also we have notified only for minimum very low risk devices like syringes, needles. Why syringes, needles we have that time 89 we have made, because of that time HIV became a more prevalence. And there was a articles that needle syringes are responsible for the HIV transmission. So then government decided to regulate the needles and syringes and HIV, HBsG kits. And if you see the second notification, 2002, and 2005 is a breakthrough notification. I think you may be knowing in Bombay, the J&J hospital, there was a medical device, cardiac stent issue happened, and where Bombay High Court directed the DCG at that time whether cardiac stent is a medical device or not. We had to agree that yes, it is a medical device. Then court said, if it is a medical device, why you are not regulating? Then he says that only notified devices are regulated. Then why can't you notify that? So because of the pressure from the High Court that time, 2005, major 10 devices we have notified. Whether it is a drug-eluting stent, cardiac stents, intraocular lenses, prosthetic implants, cardiac orthopedic implants, major critical devices have been notified in the year 2003. After that, subsequently based upon the need, some medical devices have been identified and notified. They till now total 39 products. Of course, these are 39 notifications, except the red one is not a notification. I said red one is already regulated under section 3B1 and 3B4. And these are the various devices. From time to time, the government of India notified. If you see the first notification, as I said, in 2018-9, only 3 products. That too because of the HIV prevalence. And the next notification also because of the kids HIV are relating to that. But I don't know why they had need a separate notification, because HIV kits also comes under the section 3B1. That is used for the diagnosis purpose, diagnosis of a disease. But still they made a special notification that. And these are the various notifications. I don't know how much time I have.
No issue, sir.
No issue. Thank you.
What dinner 8 बजे खिलाता बोला है, so we have another 2
And this is, please remember, these products are very important. These products are not notified under the section 3B4. Okay, these products are coming from section 3B1 and 3B2. And these are the various devices. I think you may be aware about these disposable needles, syringes, perfusion sets, cardiac stents, drug-eluting stent, intraocular lenses. Just for your understanding, because of, I just want to show the new drug inspectors, get some idea about what are the products, various products of medical devices and how it looks. So, actually, these are the various medical devices. Some are already under regulation or some are going to be under the regulation. But the entire medical devices can be classified into the 4 categories. Okay, in this, we can call certain group is medical equipments and instruments like CT scan, MRI, X-ray machines. And other category is the medical implants like cardiac stents, intraocular lenses, orthopedic implants. And another category is the medical disposables, where single use and disposed, like syringes, needles, catheters. And last category is the medical furniture. That means hospital beds, wheelchair. In fact, medical devices plays very important role in the hospital. The moment you keep your leg in the hospital, you start with the medical device. When you sit in the wheelchair, that means you are already on the medical device. The moment you are on the medical bed, you are on the medical device. Variety of medical devices have been used. But from this slide, only 2 points I want to say. The medical disposables and medical furnitures, we have self-sufficiency in India. Self-sufficiency means we have whatever we have capacity to produce, and whatever our India's requirement we are able to manage, and still we have a additional capacity to export. Whereas first 2 categories, especially the first category, as I said, 60 out of 60,000 crore of import, 38,000 crore of import is only coming from the first category. And whereas medical implants, we have reasonably, at least 50% we have self-sufficiency in India. And this is a very important slide. As a drug regulator, we should understand while enforcing the medical device rules and the drugs and cosmetics. Actually, what are the main difference between the drug and the device? As you know, the development of drug mainly based upon the chemistry and pharmacology. Mainly these are the chemical substances, whether it is naturally occurring or biologically or chemically synthesized. Whereas devices is mainly based on engineering. Design plays very, very important role. These are not chemicals. So that's why while you are interpreting, See, like for example, I'll give an example how, as a regulator, you should know about the difference means. The first example, say for example, for drugs, you need clinical trials to ensure the quality, safety, efficacy. But whereas for the new medical device also, there is no concept of clinical trials. There the concept is the clinical investigation. The methodology procedures followed for the clinical investigation is completely different from the drugs. In case of a drugs in clinical trials, the basic fundamental principle of doing any clinical trial is you compare that new drug with the gold standard drug. You understand what I'm trying to say? For example, if somebody innovated, say, anti-diabetic drug, when he is doing anti-diabetic clinical trial, another group, he will use standard therapy drug to compare the new drug is how effective or how inferior to the standard care of treatment. But whereas in medical devices, there is no standard care. So that means what I am trying to say that there are a lot of differences between regulation of the drugs and devices. Like in drugs, safety efficacy is the most important. Safety efficacy comes from the chemical action in the body, whether it is metabolic or any immunological response. Whereas in case of the devices, it is mainly safety and performance. There is no efficacy of the device, but there is a performance of the device. See, for example, you take your disposable needle. Disposable needle efficacy is not how performance of that particular needle, how smoothly it is entering into the body without damaging the skin. Similarly, I told you clinical trials, they use the gold standard. And in case of a drugs, to ensure the quality, to maintain the uniformity, consistency in the manufacturing, the company has to follow the good manufacturing practice, GMP. Whereas GMP concept is not applicable for the drugs. However, we have enforced for a long time this. That is the reason industry is not happy with us. You always ask for the regulatory requirements of drugs for the medical devices. But actually for the medical devices, the quality management system plays very important role. So it means what I am trying to say that, for example, as per the Schedule M, that is GMP, says all incoming materials should be tested before it is used. This is one of the GMP requirement. Whether it is a packing material or otherwise API or excipient, whatever entering into that factory, before he is using, he has to test. But whereas in medical devices, somebody is manufacturing orthopedic implants. His incoming material is a stainless steel medical grade rod. From that rod, he make a screw, he make a plate, he make other categories. He may not able to test every batch of rod what he is receiving. Because of that medical grade rod, manufacturer who is manufacturing, he will give certification. So what I am trying to say, there is a lot of differences in the implementation and enforcement of GMP requirements vis-a-vis with the quality management system. And in case of a drugs, the major problem is with the local and systemic toxicity. But whereas in case of devices, the major issue is relating to biocompatibility. Whatever the material you are using, construction, whether that in case of it is implantable device, like for example orthopedic implant, whether that material is biocompatible with our muscle, our skin, that is more important. Because of that medical grade stainless steel incorporated body, it is not absorbed and moving in the entire body through systemic circulation. Whereas a drug, the moment you take administered whether orally or through injection, the chemical substance is in the blood and it will move entire body. That means entire systemic circulation have that same drug. Whereas if you implant the one screw in your body, that screw will remain here only. The screw does not move the entire body. So that is the reason, whereas in case of drugs, local and systemic toxicity is very important. And last point is very important. For the drugs, you have a long product life cycle. As I said, just example, paracetamol manufacturing. The same paracetamol manufacturing, for example, crocin if you see. Since many years, crocin is continually to be manufactured and produced and same thing is applied. But whereas medical devices, their life cycle is very, very short. So today, for example, what you have, cardiac stent, for example. Initially it started with a simple bare metal stents. Then technology has come up, drug-eluting stents. These are the metallic stents. Then technology has come bioabsorbable cardiac stents. You understand? That means the technology is from time to time it is changing. If you want to use still bare metal stents, nobody will use. That is outdated technology. And after 10 years, we don't know what type of polymer-based or any other based new devices, new stents will come. So that means the product life cycle in the market is very short in case of medical devices. That is the reason this industry should be back supported by innovation and R&D. So before making the medical device, what is the necessity to make a medical device rules? What was the condition? If you see that time, I am talking about the before 2017. In only 4 cases, there is something about the medical devices in the Act and in the rules. One, in the Act, there is a definition of device, what is defined in that. Second, in the rules, we have a Schedule M3 GMP, very small and very minimum requirements. And at that time, we have a Rule 109A, where specific labeling provision made for the medical devices. And we had another rule called 125A, where some standards of certain devices only stated in the rule. This is the only 4 provisions which we regulated entire medical devices that time. That is the reason industry was so much unhappy with us. There was no clear-cut defined regulation specific for medical devices. So with this, so much hue and cry, and also issues and challenges that time, like the definition says that it is only notified devices are regulated. That means all devices are not regulated. And requirement, that time even as a drug regulator will go by law, what law says. Even I was looking after medical devices since 2009 to almost 6 years. If somebody has innovated any device, he will come with, you want to do clinical investigation. We say that no clinical investigation, you have to do clinical trial. Because we don't have the board called clinical investigation that time. Then we say that you have to compare with the gold standard for the doing clinical trials. He says that where is the gold standard? But our law says that that clinical trial has to be conducted with the gold standard. So that means there are so many issues. And similarly, the requirement of manufacturing and testing chemist. So we say that you need to have experience in testing of medical devices. But from where he will get experience? And drug experience, we don't agree. So, and similarly, the classification of medical devices, nobody knows. There is no system of classification of medical devices. Even somebody who is coming up with a license for the class A device, we say that it is a new device, you have to conduct a clinical trial. Actually, there is no need for conduct a clinical trial. And standards of medical devices were not available. Even manufacturing and import registration requirements are drug requirements only, no specific requirements for the drugs. And labeling requirements is one of the major issue also that time. So with these so many issues and challenges, that time government decided why can't we have a separate chapter for medical devices under the drug rules. But that time we strongly recommended, now the concept of having entire regulations provisions under the one rule is not advisable. Why can't we make a separate rule for medical devices? And finally ministry is agreed that generally any amendments to the existing rules is very easy. But making separate rule means you are carving out medical devices from the drug rules at all. And government is agreed to make a separate rules in medical devices 2017. So that is the reason we have a completely specific provisions for medical device rules. If you see the entire rules, actually it is as good as an act and rule. There are so many act provisions also we have made it in the rules. Because maximum requirements we have tried to include. If you see the provisions, it is a huge more than 103, 108 rules are there. Rules are there in that, and schedules, very detailed requirements we have been clearly specified. And when you make any rules, especially I am talking everything, this is the policy maker perspective, not only just as a regulator. When you say, no, we want to make a separate rules, ministry first will ask you what is the objective. So the purpose of making separate rules, what justification we have given that time, is that if you make a separate rule, it is going to have a specific provisions for the medical devices only, and we are going to harmonize our regulatory standards with the international standard. If you see our definitions of whatever medical definitions under the medical devices, all definitions are, we have not innovated. We have agreed from the international agencies like WHO, like like ISO. We have same, otherwise our industry will get a problem. If you have our own definition, because our industry also want to do exports. So that export country also will see what is your regulatory requirements, how you are enforcing the regulations. So our regulatory standards should be on par with the global standards. If you see our medical device regulations, we made it on par with the international standards. And we also tell, if you have a separate rule, make, and it will promote the indigenous manufacturing. If when I said in my initial earlier slides, we have today 3,300 manufacturers in India. In 2009, when I was in medical devices, only 75 manufacturers were there. And this 3,300 is going to be increased. I am sure it is touched 10,000 shortly by another 3-4 years. So that means we are with this clearly specified regulations, there is always a possibility of growth of the industry. See, that is the reason there is a clear link between the growth of industry and the transparent, predictable regulations in the system. And we also said it will promote the innovation. If you see, so many new companies have come up in India after the new rules. Lot of innovation, foreign MNCs are investing in India to do innovation in India. And also there is a good exports. If you see last 5 years, the exports have increased more than 20% every year. And this slide is very important. As a drug regulator, what type of products comes under the scope of medical device rules? Means which product comes under the medical device rule, which products comes under the drug rules. So the products which, as we discussed earlier slides, the products which are under the section 3B1, especially the IVDs, comes under these rules. And also subsection 2 of section 3, where tubal rings and, as I said, disinfectants, we have been notified, and these also comes under the scope of the medical device rules. Of course, section 3B4, that itself is the definition of medical device. So the products which are covering under these 3 clauses, all medical device rules are applicable. So what are the salient features under the medical device rules is that first time we said we brought complete new definitions on par with the international agencies. We have first time come up with that, what is the new medical device, what is the substantial equivalence, what is the predicate device. So I don't want to go into detail because shortage of time. Predicate device means a device which is already approved, which is already available in the market. So substantial equivalence means if somebody is coming with one new device, if you want able to prove with the existing already approved device, if you are able to prove both are substantially equivalent, then there is no need to conduct the clinical trials of the proposed device. Is it clear? See, for example, this is a medical device. This is already we have approved in India. Then this is called as a predicate device. And somebody else is coming up with the same remote control, same this thing, okay? And we don't know whether it is a new device or it is a predicate existing device. It is the manufacturer's responsibility to prove that his proposed device is also substantially equivalent with the predicate device. Then there is no clinical trials, no clinical investigation. If the proposed device, if the manufacturer is not able to prove both are equivalent, then he has to conduct clinical investigation in India. I hope it is clear for you. So whenever somebody will come and ask you whether I need to do clinical investigation in India, or suppose clinical trial is like that, then how you should say that whether it is required or not required? The first question you should ask him is that you prove your product is substantially equivalent with already approved product. If he is able to prove we satisfy, then there is no need for clinical investigation. If he is not able to prove substantial equivalence, then we have to suggest them to conduct a clinical trials in India. I hope it is clear to all of you. And we also made some definitions with respect to new IVD, clinical investigation, notified bodies and other thing. And first time, if you see under the one rule, we have made a complete provision for the regulation of import, manufacture, clinical investigation and sale. All regulatory requirements we have specified under the one rule. And first time we have specified what are the standards for medical device. I will come to your next slide. And if you see in the history of our regulatory system, first I can say proudly this. There is no concept of renewal license is avoided. In the first it came in the medical device rules. The perpetual validity of the license. That means the first time the concept of perpetual validity we have incorporated in the medical device regulations. There was a lot of hue and cry because we go in a particular direction only. Because somewhere we have to change our mindset based upon the expectations of the government, expectations of the public. If you see today, Manikandan said very rightly, today no regulator, everybody is a facilitator. Not only we, from top to bottom. So when this mindset concept is changed, we also need to change. If we don't change, if we will stick to that, the concept of renewal of license should be there, then we will get perished. Somebody else will take over us. So where we need to have flexibility in the system without compromising the quality, we should have that flexibility. That is the reason, though there is a lot of opposition that time, we should not remove the concept of renewal, but we strongly recommended that you regulate, there is no restriction. Anytime you can go for inspection, anytime you can ask for any information, anytime you can call for a data, there is no any restrictions. But in fact, other way around, renewal has become big headache on us. If you see, especially whatever I have experienced in the blood banks, majority of the blood banks are not renewed on the right time. Even as a drug inspector, when I have gone for the blood bank inspections, there are 3-4 renewals were pending. I think you may be also knowing. So what I am trying to say that the first time in the history of our Indian regulatory system, the concept of perpetual validity, it came from the medical device regulations. And also first time, you may be also this thing, the concept of outside private agency came into our regulatory system. Till now, all inspections are done only by the regulator. But first time we introduced the concept of notified bodies for the regulation of low risk devices. So this means you assume how much time, how much mindset we had to put it in to make these rules. It is not made overnight. There is a lot of discussions on that. When we are allowing the third person to do that, but the licensing powers lies with the regulatory authority only. Only they can assist the regulatory authority by providing their audit report. And it is not a mandatory that the licensing authority should agree with the report of the notified body. If you want, you can still do your own inspection. And also, I proudly say that the first time, the concept of online submission of applications in the rules, it is stated in the medical device rules only. Otherwise, there was a system for online submission of applications, but there was no mandatory provision in the law. First time, mandatory provision for online submission of applications made in the medical device rules, which is very risky thing. That means you should full confident that you develop the proper entire IT platform, that system works properly. Okay, though there are so many issues, concerns initially, from time to time, we are able to address that issues with the IT platform, but in making mandatory in the rules itself, that provision, that itself is a great task at that time when we made this. And also, first time, why I am telling you all these things, you see what actually the major changes we brought in the medical device rules. Mandatory timelines have been prescribed for every activity. whether it is a clinical investigation permission or a license or the re-inspection, or whether it is test license, everywhere mandatory timelines. Because of with this, we have a two great advantage, which generally everybody will criticize on the two parameters in India for the regulators. One is there is no transparency, there is no predictability. These are the two words. You go to any platform, everybody will have these two. For us, it is a criticism. Even if you go to international agencies, if you want to bring the transparency, IT platform brings lot of transparency. If you fix the timelines, there is a predictability in submission and getting the reply from the regulatory authorities. So to bring transparency and predictability, all necessary provisions have been made in the medical device rules. And first time the medical device even testing centers also been carved out from the concept of the laboratory. Otherwise we have a drug testing laboratory. The laboratory is not a right term for the medical devices. So instead of a laboratory, it is a testing center. And essential principles also made. I think as a drug regulator, everybody should know about this slide. I hope if you are able to read and understand this slide, when you say that we have low risk device, high risk device, medium risk device, class A, B, C, D, what is the meaning of a low risk? When you say class A devices, low risk means if any malfunctioning of the device also takes place, malfunctioning of which may cause negligible risk to the patient. This is called low risk device. Low to moderate means malfunctioning of which may cause a temporary injury to patient. Temporary is very important. In case of a moderate to high risk devices, that malfunctioning of which may cause a permanent injury. And finally, high risk device means malfunctioning of which may cause permanent injury amounting to grievous hurt or death to the patient. So that's why while you classify any device, this is the mainly the end output of the device what you are approving. Already the President has conveyed to me I have only 10 minutes. So I think it is 10 to 8. Okay, now I think I'll play 2020 now. Till now I played test, I think it is not good. So these are the class A devices, these are the class B devices, these are the class C, class D, these are the regulatory authorities. These are the various regulatory requirements for the approval of the product. I mean, this is also very important, where for example biocompatibility is required, where animal testing is required, where clinical data is required. So this slide talks about that. And the notified bodies, clinical investigation, these are the slide talks about what are the technical requirements for approval of class A, B, C, D. And this is the little important slide I will stress for 10 seconds here. When you say standards means there are two types of standards, horizontal standards and vertical standard. So this is the two terminology you should remember, horizontal and vertical standard. And standards is for raw material, standards for process. See, standard for process means, for example, sterilization. Sterilization is a process. We have a separate standard for sterilization. Product standard and labeling standards. This means requirements of the labels. This is very important. What standards are applicable? So similar like our drugs. So if any drug standard is available in the Indian pharmacopoeia, the manufacturer has to comply with the Indian pharmacopoeia. If it is not in Indian pharmacopoeia, then he has to, any other international pharmacopoeia if it is available. If no pharmacopoeia it is available, then in-house. In-house standards are manufacturer standards which are approved by the licensing authority. We have three. Similarly, medical devices also same. One is if BIS have a standards, here BIS is equal like Indian pharmacopoeia. Okay, so if any particular device have a BIS standard, they have to comply with the BIS standard. If BIS don't have a standard, then they have to follow the ISO. If that particular device is not appearing in BIS and ISO, then manufacturer's validated standards or which are approved by the regulatory agency. Please focus 1 minute on this slide. I think one major mistake what we will do is that while granting the license, especially for the medical devices, so first, we had to insist for the test license. He has to generate the data under the test license. Unfortunately, the applicant comes directly with the manufacturing license. When he comes directly with the manufacturing license, how he will generate some developmental data, how he show some stability data of any particular product where it is required. So he may not be able to generate any data. If you want any generate data, first he has to take a test license. So kindly advise all your manufacturers, whenever any manufacturer comes to you, first you tell him, before manufacturing license you go, first you tell him you take a test license. First you generate the data. And depends upon whether it is a old, whether I said predicate device or whether it is a new medical device, there is no any predicate device. Then if it is no predicate device, of course he has to conduct clinical investigation or performance evaluation in case of IVD, and he has submit the report, and this is the flow. If it is already old medical device which is a predicate device approved, then there is no need for the clinical investigation. So recently, I think the government has notified definition of a medical device. Means from 2023 October onwards, if any device which attract the definition, means in case of a drugs, is any drug has been notified as a drug? To regulate any product as a drug, any notification is required? No notification is required. If any product which attract the definition of a drug, it is a drug. For that, there is no notification is required. But till now, though it is attract the definition of medical device, any product, unless it is notified, then only it comes under the regulation. But with this new notification, from the October 2023 onwards, if any device which attract the definition, all devices comes under the regulation without any further notification. This is the one of the major difference. So what is the rationale? I think he is already signaling me by sitting in front, back side. I will skip. This is the definition. This is also, in fact, if you ask me frankly, to understand the medical devices, what Dr.S.Eswara is given me initially 90 minutes, then reduce it to 70 minutes, now to 8 minutes. We need actually more time. At least we need 9 days. 9 days to understand medical device regulations. What I am giving is a very superficial regulatory requirements and the background of the medical devices. One definition, if you want to really understand, it is required one complete day. And if you see what is the tomorrow, the definition, if any instrument, any operators, any implant, any mission, any appliance, any software, please try to understand this. Any software used in the medical device is also a medical device. Means one company is making only software. He is supplying to the LG or Siemens somewhere. Even the software manufacturer is also a medical device manufacturer. And how this definition is different from the drugs, please read this red color. The difference is based upon the primary intended use of the product. Next slide I will come to you what is the meaning of a primary intended use and what is the secondary intended use. The major difference between drug and device is, if you see this definition, which does not achieve its primary intended action in or on humans or animal body by pharmacological, immunological, metabolic means. These three terminologies kindly remember. If you are getting pharmacological, immunological, metabolic response with any particular product, it is a drug. If you are getting your intended use without any pharmacological, without any immunological, without any metabolic means, then it is a device. Is it clear? If any effect to the body is coming because of the pharmacological, immunological, metabolic nature, it is a drug. If any effect is coming without pharmacological, without immunological, without metabolic, then it is a device. This is the basic fundamental difference between the definition of a drug and device. I will come to you what is the primary intended use. For example, sterile hand gloves. The same hand gloves are used in the operation theater and also used in the highly qualified area like, where you are developing the electronic goods, or even you are using any chemical industry, or even nowadays salon, hair cutter also use the gloves. Whether the gloves is a medical device or not. So that means the person who is using the salon cutter, he also, that product is require a license. Exactly. So what I am trying, from this slide, what we should know is that the same, if I am a gloves manufacturer, I am supplying only to the other than medical purpose, then I don't require a license. If I am making a gloves for the medical purpose, then I require a license. Sometimes the same manufacturer, same quality, he may be supplying to the hospital also, he may be supplying to the highly regulated electronic industry also, but still require a license. Okay. That means same product can be used as a medical device, same product can be used as a non-medical device also. That depends upon what is the primary intended use of the product. So if you read this sentence given, it can be used widely in medical examination, treatment, food processing, electronic instrument, chemical instrument, hair cutting, printing, dyeing, many industry. But unless that particular product is used in the medical examination and treatment, then only he require a license. And another thing, you have a drug and device combination, like drug eluting stents, like drug eluting disc. So I will tell you difference. So for a cardiac stents, you may be knowing, these are the drug coated, mainly to prevent the restenosis. But there are drug eluting disc, means generally they are chemotherapy coated disc. The disc is implanted in the brain for any brain tumor. So whether drug eluting disc is a device or whether it is a drug. Why? Exactly. So this is the major difference whenever if anybody come to you for any combination product, that is it is having a drug, it is having device both, then you should see that what is the primary intended effect from which it is coming, whether it is coming from the device or whether it is coming from the drug. So in case of cardiac stents, the primary purpose is the stent will open the artery. That is the primary purpose. The why drug is used, that is the secondary action. The drug reduces the inflammation and restenosis. Restenosis means accumulation of again unwanted cells in and around that particular stent when you are implanted in the artery. Similarly, in case of drug eluting stent, as he said rightly, the primary intended is the chemotherapy, whereas the secondary action is that disc is acting as a delivery purpose. I think this slide also you should please remember, there are two devices which the government of India has already banned, IVDs. Okay, while you are granting licenses, keep it in mind that these two devices don't grant any licenses for these two products. That is, one is serodiagnostic test kit for the diagnosis of tuberculosis, another is the antibody detecting rapid diagnostic test for routine diagnosis of malaria. This is the slide. Is not supposed to be disclosed, but I am disclosing because already this is in the public domain, the draft notification when they have issued. What are the various provisions the government is coming up in the new proposed drugs, medical devices and cosmetic bill? First time in the bill, you can see the mandate of the act, proposed bill. Can you see when we talk about the quality, see what is the main mandate of the act? What is the Drugs and Cosmetic Act main mandate? To ensure the safety, quality, efficacy. Can you see anywhere these terms in the act? Where it is stated in the act? Where it is stated in the, have you seen preamble? Please read that preamble. Nowhere in the Act says that this is 1940 Act, but it is the end of this regulation is that to ensure the safety, quality and efficacy of the product. But this is the first time in the proposed bill we are writing the preamble of this particular Act. In the preamble, it is clearly says to ensure quality, safety, efficacy, performance. There is about the drugs, cosmetics also I have removed. For the new devices, new medical devices and new diagnosis. And also first time we use the term called protection and promotion of health. These terminologies we are using in the Act, in the preamble, I am sure once the bill will pass in the Parliament, we are going to face so many court cases. I mean, everybody will claim that it is a regulator, it is your responsibility to promotion of health. Till now we say that our responsibility is the regulation of the products, like the medical products. But when your preamble says that it is your responsibility for promotion of health, what is your role, what you are doing? I mean, next another 40, 50 years, we have so many cases only on these terms called protection and promotion of health. And there is another provision first time, that DCJ is going to be renamed as a Drugs and Medical Device Controller General of India. And there will be a separate cadre for the medical devices. It is not a separate division. You know difference between division and cadre? Already we have a separate, okay sir. Division means the people can go and come out. For example, medical device division, drug division people can go and work for 3 years, they will come out. But in case of a cadre, once you enter into the medical device vertical, you will remain in the medical device only. So we are creating the medical device cadre, not only in CDSCO, it is going to be in the state regulatory authority also. Similarly for the drugs, there will be a controller drugs. Similarly for the medical device, the way you have DTAB for the drugs, for medical devices there will be a MDTAB, and I think I will skip. And just I want to cover some related matters, not only the Act, Drugs and Cosmetic Act. I think NPPA, you should know what are the devices which are under the price control, which are under the first schedule, scheduled items as I stated, cardiac stents, drug-eluting stents, condoms, intrauterine devices are under scheduled drugs. They are the NLEM. But there are certain products which are not under the NLEM, not under the schedule. They are regulated under the non-scheduled medical devices under the para 19, like knee implants. And some other devices also during the COVID time, they are regulating that prices. This I can skip. What government brought the various schemes. So just to conclude, still we are regulating medical devices as a drugs, unfortunately, which is not actually an ideal system. But in future, once the bill will pass in the Parliament, medical devices are going to be regulated separately. They are going to be carved out from the definition of a drug. And as I said, medical devices are definitely different from the drugs. While we are enforcing, inspecting, regulating, please view separately the medical devices. As I said, no concept of renewal of license, the concept of notified bodies, and I think I covered by and large everything. The most happiest person will be the Koteshwar Rao when I am going to stop here. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I can understand there is no time for question and answers. I think already we have crossed all our limits. Okay. When he is coming very silently means I should be very cautious. So with this, I will end my presentation, and probably I may be here for another some time if you have any personal questions.
There is a lot of demands from the audience. They want to interact with Dr.S.Eswara Reddy Garu, and he is the only one person who can able to give a point-wise answer. And my sincere request, sir, Actually, I want to keep you for another 1 hour. I do not have any idea about Ramkishan sir's return flight they have got. So, please give us another half an hour, sir. Please, my sincere request.
Sir, for our family, I'm always available. Definitely, I'll be here on your request.
दीपक जी कहाँ जाता है खाना इधर ही कहाँ लेके जाना था ना हम लोग किधर जाते हैं बसेस किसी से अभी नहीं लगी या प्लीज कम सर
And the presentation, just So, once again, I welcome back. I think Koteshwara ji still have some time for any comments, suggestions, queries on medical device regulations. Though I understand all of you must have very tired since morning 9:30. So please raise your hand if anybody would like to make any your comment or you would like to make any suggestion or any question. So first here.
Hello. A very good evening to everybody over here. I'm Tejveer Singh Sodhi, Drug Control Officer based in Jammu. I must say I was speaking to Mr. Zafar, my colleague from Srinagar, that we are witness to history, making of history here, because this is the first annual Congress and this is not going to be first annual Congress next year. There will be third, fourth, 50th, 60th, but we are witness to this first annual conference. This is one thing. And second thing which I appreciate highly, and I congratulate the people, the organizers, the committee members here, people who are listening patiently over here. It's very wonderful to observe that. I have worked for 15 years in private sector in marketing, but I also used to feel sick sometimes in between product launch, product trainings, or otherwise professional trainings, but people were listening so patiently here since 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and all credit goes to Koteshwara sir, Eswara Reddy sir, and all the people over here. I think so many, everybody, I don't know names and designations, but credit goes to all of them who have put this day a memorable day. Thanks a lot, all the best to everybody over here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soni, for your nice comments.
Welcome, sir.
And which are motivating and encouraging. So, I think you make to him. Yes, sir.
बलदेव जी एक बार मैं और हमारा रामधन साहब
Hello. Congratulations to you, sir. It was a good presentation on medical device. I have one query that Rule 23 of the medical device rule has clearly specified that no inspection is required for the loan licenses of category C and D devices if the same product is being manufactured by the own licensing who is a licensing. Similar provision is not mentioned in Rule 20 for the category B. So, as a regulator, can I ask that whether the audit of the notified body is required for loan license of category B?
This is a very good question. The necessity of having the inspection for the grant of loan license for the products which are already manufactured or manufacturing by the main license holder, this is a completely discretion of the licensing authority whether it need any inspection or not. There is no any bar or any restriction. That is completely discretion of the licensing authority. So, if you ask me frankly, if I could have been a licensing authority, if the loan licensee able to submit complete details, generally the complete details are available with the main manufacturer. he may not able to share with complete details. So unless if he provide the complete details about the product, if where original manufacturer shared the complete details, if the data is satisfactory to the licensing authority, there is no need for any inspection. There is no, even by the notified bodies, you can take a call on that. And if you have any reservations, anything, if you feel there is a missing of data, definitely you can call for inspection. There is also stated very clearly, no cause of inspection provided it is the same product, provided he will submit the complete information. So that means that same clause you can extend. Maybe in one particular provision it is stated clearly, in another provision as discretionary powers given to the licensing authority.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, recently we seized some tapentadol in Kashmir through courier services from the airport, Srinagar airport, because it was coming through air mode and through courier services. We seized it, and then three persons were found involved in this. But all the three persons were not related to drug business. The address given on the parcel was fake. They had mentioned that it is some medical shop owner, but when we investigated the matter, he was not from pharmacy side. So we handed over the case to the police. They said that we will prosecute him under NDPS Act. All the formalities were done. They legally seized it from our custody, and we handed over the custody to them. But after a few days, they said that tapentadol is not coming under NDPS Act. So you take the case back and do the necessary action. In this situation, what we are supposed to do exactly?
If I rightly understand your question, somebody has received consignment having NDPS product.
True.
Through courier.
Right, sir.
By air. Okay, so that air is international flight or it is from the domestic only?
No, it's domestic. It was coming from Delhi to Srinagar.
Achha, Delhi to Srinagar. So the person who has received through courier, so is there any bills for that?
It was the tip was given by the courier service itself, that we are suspecting some courier in our this office. You come and have a look.
Generally, it may be what I presume that at the time of booking the courier, you must have given a misdeclaration.
Yes, it always happens. So, the address is always fake. Phone number is fake.
Yeah, so generally it is the responsibility of the courier servicing agency at the time of booking. What is actually the content of that pack? It is their responsibility. And what is the value of the pack, and if it is relating to any regulated item or relating to any harmful item or relating to any explosive item, he has to comply with all the regulatory norms.
But the supplier has given the addresses. Addresses are very much there. Home address, phone number, that is very much there. And somebody was supposed to come and pick it up from the courier service. But when we seized it, they didn't turn up. And when we investigated the matter, the phone number was fake and address was fake. Only the name was right.
So the person whom he is available, who has imported, I think you should start investigation from him. Backtrack that. Of course, we may not be able to go at the end of the conclusion, but till whatever the maximum you can do the investigation, whatever the best possible way, I think you can.
Police has located all the three persons. They have located all the three persons.
But police now they are saying that they don't want to further.
Yes, now they are saying that we don't have jurisdiction to prosecute these persons.
But NDPSC police is authorized to do investigation and prosecution under the NDPS Act.
But tapentadol does not come under NDPS Act. So should we ask them to prosecute him under Essential Commodities Act?
Essential Commodities Act, I am not sure. I don't know.
So in this situation, what we are supposed to do?
This is very tricky, unless because of we have some information in front of us, based upon that you are asking us to give the opinion. Sometimes it is very difficult unless you have all the facts in front of you. I think, yeah. it's what you are providing, some incomplete information, partial information. I think maybe during the personal discussion you can share, maybe you may not be able to share more information through my public, but we will discuss personally and you can.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Sir,
Yes, madam.
good evening, sir.
sir, I have two questions.
And just
The
a-
first one is, sir,
Yes.
if any manufacturer applies for the medical device, like syringe with needle and without needle, will it be considered one product or two?
From where you are calling? Acha, oh, sorry.
Aswan.
Yeah, can you repeat the question, please?
Sir, if any manufacturer applies for medical device, he is applying for syringe with needle and without needle. Will it be one product or two products? Syringe with needle and without needle.
So end of the day, at the time of grant of manufacturing license for
Ji, sir.
particular product permission, whether he applied with needle or without needle.
He is applying syringe with needle and without needle in one line.
So he has to make as a two products.
has to
One is syringe with needle, that is one product, and without needle, that is another product. Because if you see both product, one product is a complete product which is ready to use. Second product is not a complete product. It needs some other accessory to include in that, thereby it can be a complete product.
Okay.
I
Thank
hope
you,
it is-
sir.
I hope it is-
Other question, sir, is
Sorry?
if some second question, sir, please. If some manufacturer applying for a product, he is not having the sterilization facilities. He's made the product at one place. Now he wants to get it sterilized at other place. When we are going to issue that permission of that product, will it be sterilized or non-sterilized? Because he will get it after that from other manufacturer. It gets sterilized. So we are going to issue it at like any product sterilized or non-sterilized.
So, whether it is a medical device, whether it is a sterile or a non-sterile, I think there will be a lot of clarifications has been issued by the CDSCO. This was actually the major concern, especially in case with the orthopedic implants. Somebody is manufacturing and selling without sterilization and somebody is selling with sterilization. Irrespective of that, both the products comes under the definition of medical device.
No, sir, my question was that he wanted to get it sterilized other place, like for gamma sterilization. Gamma sterilization done by somebody else. So suppose is a syringe, he will get it sterilized from other place. So at the time of issuing our product permission, it will be sterilized or non-sterilized. He is applying to us sterilized, but he is not having the proper.
But end of the day, when he is supplying his product, he is supplying means selling the product for the open market.
Ji.
It is a sterile or non-sterile?
that will be sterilized.
That is sterile.
That
means
will be sterilized.
before he actually supplies to his own distributor, C&F agent, he will get sterilized his product from the third party.
Third party is on license, yes,
Okay,
sir.
so he will get sterilized his product to third party and he will get back his product. Then
Yes, sir.
he will release that product from his premises and then he is selling the product into the open market.
So our product permission will be sterilized.
Yeah, you have to give that product has to have be sterile only. The type, because of this product, if it should be a sterile product, that in the license also it has to be mentioned as it is sterile.
Okay, thank you, sir. At that your time of presentation, sir, you stated that for every medical device, you need a test license for B category or A category or whether it's C or D. We were talking about the B category. Most of the products are coming to us for the medical formulation. They are not producing any test license, but still we are issuing because already they are manufacturing that category of medical devices. Is it necessary to get all the manufacturers to test license for every class of medical devices?
Irrespective of any class of device, if that product is a regulated product, if that applicant make application for the license or a permission, it is always advisable to have a test license because of he has to generate the data. If without the test license, how he generate the data?
Okay.
To grant a license, if you see the part 1, part 2 of the first schedule, second schedule, it is clearly specified. Class A device, you need this particular data. Class B, class C, specific to the class of device. Without test license, how you generate?
Okay, thank
It
you,
is,
sir.
that is the reason in my presentation, I specifically stressed that particular point. I requested also all of you, kindly insist first for the test license.
Last one, sir, please. When the manufacturer applies for the medical product, he is submitting medical device master file. We put some queries. At the time of reply, he is just putting only the answer of that particular query. He is not submitting complete medical device file. Is it okay? Submitting only
See-
that particular query, or he should submit all the data in that
Device master file clearly specified what are the content of the device master file. As you said rightly, he has submitted the device master file,
Yes,
but
sir.
you have raised some queries.
Ji.
That means where the device master file is incomplete or that particular information is not available. So you send the query to that applicant and he submitted response to that query.
Ji, sir.
Okay.
Ji, sir.
He will submit response only to the points what you have raised. The rest he already submitted.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So the remaining part only he will submit. It is not necessary that he will submit again the entire dossier to you.
That means that already paper that submitted, if that will be considered.
So I think you asked so many questions. Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
May I know your name and organization?
ईश्वर सिंह यादव, असिस्टेंट कंट्रोलर, राजस्थान, जयपुर.
Thank you, dear.
थैंक यू, सर.
सर गुड इवनिंग सर.
Thank you.
मैं पहले इंट्रोडक्शन दे देती हूँ. दीपिका
For everybody's reference.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा लीगल है. In act, it is always provided that the laboratory should have NABL accreditation certificate, right? The NABL gives the certification for the testing of drugs, food, cosmetics, and medical devices under Section 17025. Now, another agencies like Bureau Veritas or somebody, some other who are giving the certificate of ISO 22000 or something, they are also ready and they are also empowered to issue the certificate under 17025. So, because the act specifically say that it should be NABL accredited, but not the certificate. So, what the person should do? They have to go to the only NABL, or they can take the 17025 from some other agency also.
So, first of all, madam, the requirement of NABL accreditation, it is specified in the medical device rules.
Yes.
It is not
in
in
even Drugs and Cosmetics Act also.
And in the act, it is not stated.
Rules. Might be rules.
Yeah, it is stated
Yes, sir.
under the rules, and which is a mandatory requirement.
Yes.
Without that, they may not able
So
to.
NABL is just a agency, which is not a state or central agency. They are the private body. And same way, another private body is also issuing the same certificate. So can the person
But
go or not?
if you go by verbatim of the law, the certificate
Should be NABL.
issued by the NABL.
Yes, okay.
So, or otherwise, you may be knowing, for example, ISO 13485.
Yes.
So 13485, that is nothing but a QMS, which is a mandate requirement for medical devices. So which we responsible for that. If some private agency also do, like many notified other private purpose, they will go
Yes.
for ISO 134. Unless we audit and we verified, then only that is called as a regulatory document.
Down.
The similar document has to be issued by NABL only.
Fine. Thank
Not
you,
by any other agency. Maybe that agency have a capacity and capabilities to audit and give the certificate, but they are not authorized
Not
agency.
authorized for the...
Under the law.
Thank you, sir.
Under the regulation.
Yes, Dr. Reddy, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ECG machine and sonography machine, both are under medical devices. I had filed one RTI application with the government hospital. I had requested him to furnish me the documents, test report, approved agency, and other details when you are periodically examining this instrument, whether this instrument are calibrated, standardized, or validated at all. I didn't get it reply. I filed my first appeal. I didn't get reply. I filed my second application with Information Commission. I got success. I got reply from the PIO. The reply was very much sad and pathetic, they answered me that they do not have file, it is missed, it is not traceable. Isn't it responsibility of our regulatory officers? They are highly sensitive instrument. There are chances of the pseudo positives. So I request you that being a central authority and government of India, you should also check up whether our officers are doing that. Why being a senior citizen and social worker, I should take trouble of this? First thing. Second thing, orthopedic implants. We had very one bitter experience of Johnson & Johnson. Articulate surface replacement, you must be knowing. Lot of operations have failed and pathetic situation has arisen. And investigation report said that some contamination had happened with the metal. What is the position of today? As I have got experience, lot of manufacturers have no knowledge about the testing of the metal which they use in their manufacturing devices. Why you people are not devising the standard and specification and quality parameter of the metals? Even they do not care for the physico-chemical primary analysis of the metal of the orthopedic implant. I was the first person to pressurize it to maintain physico-chemical, not instrumental or microbial. I was the person. But I didn't know whether it pursued further or not. And orthopedic implants, whether are to be marketed sterile or not sterile. Manufacturers leave it upon the doctor. And we know the situation of the doctor. They get it autoclave. We are not sure how far it is sterile. And it is being implanted in human body. That's also rather a matter of concern for human health. Now, sir, Dr. Koteswara, Dr. Koteswara Sahib, just for very important one. One B.Pharm graduate had joined our department as a food inspector. And he completed his entire career as a food inspector. He enjoyed it. He completely got retirement and he got pension also. He never thought about the drug inspector. Now that qualification has been omitted either from the PFA or FSSA. Koteswara Sahib. So it is required to be inserted. B.Pharm graduate. Earlier it was in PFA. Now it is not there in FSSA. Yes, I am encouraged rather to say further that it happened in my tenure. I had filed objection and remarks during the draft notification. In the amendment for the rules of the FSSA qualification, I strongly recommended that B.Pharm graduates should be included. I had also given the reasons and remarks also that most of the food products are also tested scientifically. They are also manufactured as the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry does. So it should be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Ultimately, it was turned down.
Got your point.
Of course, it was my time for the career ending, so I didn't pursue it. And last question, sir, Koteswara Sahib. During 1980, first time I appeared for the IAS exam. At that time, engineering qualification and medical qualification was also not there. So I had to opt only chemistry. So I didn't get it success. Later on in 1990, both the subjects are included. Now today, there is recommendation from all the around that pharmacy graduate qualification must be included in IAS exam.
Can you consider
I
your
humbly
question,
request.
please?
That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can try to answer the first two questions. Third question is left to the Koteswara Rao. The first question you asked about the non-availability of the data submitted by the applicant at the regulator's office with respect to ECG and other instruments what you have asked. Yeah. But as far as I said in my presentation also, for the medical devices, ECG effective only after the medical device rules 2017 are effective, under which all applications has to be submitted through online. So that entire data has to be available in the system. There is no scope that regulator cannot say able to say that data is not available.
I'm not satisfied, sir.
So, no, please try.
Just a moment. In case of the such program,
Uh,
for the pharmaceutical end product.
Sir, I patiently
Just
heard
a
your
moment,
question.
Just a moment, just a moment. Who is the end user? Who is the end user? Not the patient, not the manufacturer, not the dealer.
Let me complete, sir, my
It is only doctor and doctor. We do not examine that. We do not inspect that.
Yeah. So the availability of that particular product details with the regulators, and it is the regulator responsibility to ensure the proper quality and performance of that particular device. Okay. And second, with respect to the Johnson ASR implants, you may be knowing very well that product actually there was a problem with the design. They globally recalled that product. Initially they recalled in the USA and Australia, and in India they have recalled little later, and we also given the recall procedures in India. And you may be knowing, though there is no provision under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act to make any payment by the manufacturer for non-performing or non-effectiveness of the drug. For example, if I purchased a crocin tablet and for my fever, if my fever is not reduced, can I sue the company? Can I ask compensation from the company? So similarly, the orthopedic implant which is licensed by the licensing authority, after that it had some problem, does it mean that is there any provision under the Act to pay the compensation for that? Compensation provision is only for the product which are under the clinical trial, where the safety efficacy is yet to be proven. If something goes wrong to the patient during the clinical trial, there is a provision for the compensation. But whereas for the product which are approved by the regulatory authority, for that if any malfunctioning is there, there is no compensation. However, we have made ensure that the manufacturer has paid money to all Indian patients, those who have suffered 25 lakhs that company has paid, you may be aware. Each patient, there may be around 200 plus patients in India, those who have undergone this. We have constituted the expert committee for this. Committee also designed one formula based upon the age of the patient. If that orthopedic implant is inserted into the 70 years old patient or 17 years old patient. 17 years patient, highest compensation they have recommended 75 lakhs. But High Court has involved in that. Finally, they paid 25 lakhs to each and every patient. Though there is no provision, but through administrative manner, we directed them to pay. They have paid. What do you say, Nick? Further?
Thank you very much, sir. One small request from our association. And we may need your continuous services, as you told that 1 day, 2 day sessions are not sufficient, but at least we are, as per our plan, every second Saturday, Sunday we are conducting one state, and we will give prior intimation to you wherever possibilities are there. Please, we want to utilize your services, sir. Thank you very much. And may I request all my Central Executive Committee members to come here to honor Dr. Reddy Garu. It is our privilege to be here. Dr.S.Eswara Reddy Garu, all Central Executive Committee members, please come onto the dais. And all state presidents and general secretaries, all state presidents and general secretaries, and all state drug controllers who are sitting here, please come onto the dais. It is our privilege to honor Dr.S.Eswara Reddy Garu, the Joint Drug Controller of India, and now he has been given a full-time training center as in charge, and we may utilize his services from his training institute also.
चलेगा, प्रेस करना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, ये है, हाँ, ये अभी फ़िलहाल स्टॉप कर दो। ठीक है, ये रहा इसका लीड। आप मेरे को बस बता दो ना कि आप प्ले कर दो। जैसे आप प्ले करोगे, मैं वहाँ से वॉल्यूम इंक्रीज कर दूँगा, क्योंकि वहाँ मेरे नहीं लगाना, मैं लगा के जाऊँगा। आपको कुछ नहीं लगाना, ओनली प्ले करना है। ठीक है, बस इसे प्ले कर दोगे, मेरे को इशारा कर दो ना। और ये बटन वन प्रेस पे ऑन है, इसे चलेगी तो ऑन हो जाएगा, लाइट बंद हो जाएगी तो ऑफ। दबाओ।
गणमन